Welcome to our workshop. I'm working on the restoration of this piano bench, and as you can see, it's got a pretty severely broken leg. These legs are held on by hardware called corner brackets, and these mounting brackets are used commonly in tables and in benches like this because it allows you to remove the legs. I'm going to go through and diagnose the problem with this and show you how I fix it. Stay tuned.
As a furniture repair business, we're opening the doors to our workshop to show you the tools and techniques to repair furniture.
What I need to do is take that apart, repair it, and put it back together so I can get this chair in working order.
We give you tips to make your repair projects easier. Let's get into the workshop and start fixing furniture.
Now, if we look inside, you'll see that this leg is put together with corner brackets. Here you can see how much this leg is moving. There's nothing holding it. These corner brackets are meant to sit inside a saw kerf on either side here, and generally they don't fail. But this one's broken for some reason, so I'm going to have to take it apart and investigate. If we take a closer look at these brackets, you can see there's a cut line here in the wood. This is cut with a single saw blade, and that's called a kerf. So these are kerf-mounted leg brackets. And there's a piece of wood between the kerf and the end here. Here we've got about 1 inch, and there's no reason that that should fail. This is a very common way to attach legs in a way that you can unbolt the leg and take the legs off. So common in piano benches, common in tables as well. When I'm repairing things, I look for hints. I can see a glob of glue here, a bunch of glue up here. Here I've got a slotted screw. Here I've got a modern Robertson screw. So this has been repaired before. It looks like these pieces have been attached here. I'm going to take this apart and see what it needs. This joint has a dowel here and here. This originally wouldn't have had a dowel, and maybe that's part of why that piece split off the back. So I'm going to have to take this bench apart so I can access everything here. Someone's really worked hard on this. They've left some notes for me. If I tilt the leg this way, you can see this dowel here. It's broken out a piece of wood, and this is where there's a loose piece of wood. And if I look at the back of it, I can tell that there's a shiny surface and a rough texture. And this tells me that there was wood glue applied here, but it wasn't clamped, so it didn't stick. I'm guessing that they probably put this piece of wood in here and screwed it because there's a piece of wood that adhered here from this piece, and that's the only place where it would have had some force that would keep it together. So I'm going to take this all apart and see how I can clean it up and fix it. With this apart, I can now see what the problem is. The original grain on the wood goes this way, and this wood's going this way, so this was a patch. And it's really rough in here. So trying to get a flat piece of wood glued to that would be virtually impossible. So what I need to do is mill this down flat, put in a replacement piece, and that'll be rock solid. Now that this is cut flat, I can see that this is poplar just by the color, and here's a piece of poplar. You can see how it matches. So I'm going to cut something out that's the same thickness, the same width and depth. I just need to chisel out this piece, and then I can glue that patch in place. With the flat surfaces in here and this patch, there's lots of glue surface for that to stick properly. What I need to do is chisel out the top here, and then cut it to length. Now to chisel out this piece, you don't really need a mallet if you've got a sharp chisel. And the key to a sharp chisel is making sure that you're honing that edge. So I've got a strop here with some honing compound on it. And I just pull this back about 30 times. And what that does is just continually sharpens the keen edge of that. And then just run it once on the back. And you can see how sharp that edge is. It's mirror finish. What I'm going to do is do the same thing without the compound, which is just a finer edge. And then once again on the back. And there you can see how sharp that is. Now all I'm doing is putting my weight over top of the chisel and just pushing into the wood. Poplar's a fairly soft wood, so this doesn't take much energy at all. Now I just mark this board to length, cut it off, and I'm good to go. So I'm ready to glue on this patch here, but I've got another section up here. I'm going to go through the same process, but because this is all attached, I'm going to chisel this out by hand and then put the patch in there. There are 4 things you need to properly glue something. You need to have clean surfaces. You need to make sure that you've got enough glue on everything, and to make sure you do that, use an artist brush to spread that glue. You need tight fitting surfaces, and these are, and you need clamping pressure. Without any of those 4 items, you won't have a strong glue joint. So there I've got a good amount of glue on both sides, and then when I put this together and I clamp that down, that glue joint will be stronger than the wood fibers themselves. The glue is now dried on these pieces, so I can flip them over. And here, this is how the pieces come together like this. So on this leg, rather than trying to drill this out, it's just going to make a mess. What I'm going to do is cut off these dowels here and just rely on that corner bracket the way it was originally designed to hold this all together. Back here, I've got just a little bit of that dowel hole missing, so I'm just going to shave this back a little bit just to fit it in there, and that will be a nice tight joint. So here's the leg with the dowels cut off on one side and they're here on the other. So I'm just going to put them in here and line that up. And then we've got the leg bracket here. And that will get screwed in both sides there. Just tighten this up and see what happens. There, once I get that lined up with a hole drilled in there for the screw, that's nice and sturdy. So that'll be the solution. So I'm going to put this all together and then work on the finish. 5 of the 7 screws were missing from here, so I bought some new ones, and these are Robertson. In Canada, this is our standard screw. And what I've done is I've just ground off the tip. I couldn't get a 5/8 inch screw, so I've got 3/4 here, and grinding off that tip just makes sure it doesn't protrude out the front. The great thing about these screws, they stay on the screwdriver with one hand. And having a square drive tip gives you really a lot of grip in being able to put in screws without slipping. I'm just going to disguise this block with some gel stain. Put it on here, let it sit for a few minutes, and then wipe it off. It should match well. The customer didn't want to pay for new finishing on here, but I did encourage them that I could touch this up. So I'm using a touch-up marker. This has got some stain in it, and I've got the one that matches. And you'll see how easily this just hides some of these scars. The bench is now finished, and I hope you learned some tips and tricks about furniture repairs. If you'd like to subscribe, you can click on the link over here and click on the bell icon to get notified every time we release a video. Thank you for watching Fixing Furniture.